Okay.
I think we're on.
Hi, everyone. Hoping you can see what's in front of us here as we welcome you to the Shabbos show, something like number 22. And as usual, I think we have some pretty important and interesting things to discuss. Not because Barry and I made them up, but because the Jewish tradition is chock full of wonderful topics and wonderful practices. I'm wondering if you can see the smoke rising from the incense. It actually smells wonderful. This is a really beautiful, this incense is actually called sweet plum. It's really beautiful. Hi, Allison. Early Shabbat Shalom. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit, and I know Barry has his review and insight into this week's parashah, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Elul, which just starts today, and we're offered the most beautiful practice for no less than 52 days of reciting Psalm 27 to ourselves. And I have to tell you, if you're not familiar with our Rabbi Robin's amazing book, Opening Your Heart with Psalm 27, it is a practice. It's not simply, hi Mindy, it's not simply an opportunity to read Psalm 27. It has an entire set of practices that go with it that are very engaging and wonderful. So you can see mine's marked up, and I have a separate journal I use with it. And so this is a little bit of what I wanted to talk with you about today. So in Psalm 27, I really quickly want to read you my favorite couple of verses, and I want to read it to you in a way that I would be finishing, hi Lolly, with something I'm doing, going from one place to the other. I'm a busy person, and I want you to hear how it would feel in my head and sound in my head. One thing I have sought from Adonai, how I long for it, that I may live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, that I may look upon the sweetness of Adonai and spend time in the palace, that you might hide me in your sukkah on a chaotic day, hide me in the hiding places of your tent, raise me high upon a rock. Beautiful words. And this is me reading to you a verse or two that I love perhaps more than any in the world, and I wasn't in my body for that. And so I know some of you are going to say woo woo woo, but I wasn't present. I got home from the grocery store. I'm wondering if I have time to defrost the other thing I've pulled out for dinner. I hear Barry's car pulling up, Nala's barking, and I think the FedEx truck is right out there. And so I'm doing what I want to do for Elul, but I'm not here and I'm not present. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. How do you get present in your body? So a couple of ways that I have found that I get present in my body: yoga, incense, anchoring to a smell, tuning into my breath, finding any kind of movement, doesn't have to be yoga. Deciding to take myself to a place where, I sit outside in my backyard. I'm lucky to have a good spot with the bird feeder in the distance. These are all ways that I get into my body. Because when I read that psalm, I want to be fully here. I want to fully embrace these words that are exceptional and meaningful. And so I've lit incense, and that, the smell just changes everything up for me. Incense is one of those things, if you don't have lung stuff and it doesn't bother your respiratory system. For me, incense is a good way to get back into my body. So are essential oils, by the way, so that when I reread this most beautiful piece, I feel it upon my heart. That's what I'm really going for. Okay, so now we're all the way at incense. What is incense? And then I think that some folks think to themselves, You know, incense doesn't sound very Jewish. That sounds like something from somewhere else, and I don't know that that's the right practice for me for the month of Elul. And I say, wow, it's the perfect practice. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about incense today. And I want to read you, hi, Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
And I wanted to read you a verse or two from Exodus chapter 30, verse 34. And the Lord said to Moses, take the herbs stacte, onycha, and galbanum, these herbs together with pure frankincense. Let there be an equal part of each. Make them into incense, a compound expertly blended, refined, pure, and sacred. Beat some of it into powder and put some before the pact in the tent of meeting, where I will meet with you. It shall be most holy to you. But when you make this incense, you must not make any in the same proportions for yourselves. It shall be held by you sacred to the Lord. Whoever makes any like it, to smell of it, shall be cut off from his kin. So this particular incense is 4 parts equal. And I want to tell you just a little bit about that. Now, this incense that we are burning right here is not that, but it gives me a sense of doing something holy. It gives me another way to bring my body into the work that I want to do, or into the prayer I want to pray, or into the time that I'd prefer to be sacred, as opposed to me running from here to there. And so now you're not even going to believe this, but this is where these seashells come in, these Murex seashells. And by the way, aren't they just spectacular? Look how gorgeous, right? So I want to show you this very wonderful article. Modern science tackles a biblical secret, the mystery ingredient in holy incense. The author of this article is Kirsten Beckendorf, and this is pretty easily Googleable. And I know it's probably backwards and all of that, but that's just to say that scientists have said, let's figure out what was in that incense, and specifically the other oils and the other ingredients, the herbal ingredients, they had a very good idea of. What wasn't known was the antiquity of onycha. What is it? Okay, so here's what it is. It's the little covering when you find a shell that protects the animal inside, and it translates into a word like nail or claw. And I want to show you what it looks like, because this is a good picture. To me, it looks kind of yuck, right? You might think that too. And they burn that and dry it, and sometimes they would use vinegar or wine to preserve it. And that becomes the 4th ingredient in the holy incense that Moses is told to make this place, this makom, this sacred place, a place for God to dwell. This little covering, which by the way is called the operculum, structure that closes or covers the shell, and it's found in a murex shell. So we can make a pretty good guess that these shells were available at that time. And one more thing, and here's the oils. I put them here. So today we can also get a sense. So another way I like to embody, and just that means feel things in my body, as opposed to running here and running there. I love essential oils. I stop. I just enjoy the aroma, or I enjoy how they feel on my skin. Anything that you do with the body, writing with the hand, feeling cloth, dancing, anything you do with the body is embodiment. And that's a really important part of ritual for me. Same as lighting the candles on the Friday night, right? Same as the Havdalah candle. Same as pulling the challah apart that Barry and I do. Whatever you do with your hands brings you into that moment more present. And so that's what I'm talking about. So guess what else came out of this, the operculum?
What? I'll ask.
The purple ink that also was used. It's a very, hi Mike, hi Norm, hi Dinah. That purple ink that was used with the tabernacle, that very special purple, also comes from this. So that also gave scientists a hint when they were trying to figure out, okay, what was that onica? And here's something else. As many of you know, that the seashell, that little piece, that operculum we're talking about, would not be a kosher piece. I know. You take a stop for a minute and you go, now wait a minute. However, at that time, for something holy like burning incense, that was made as an exception because that little piece offered so much. They didn't eat it, of course. They burned it, and my incense is getting very low. So we go back to the psalm again, because that's what we're charged with. That's what our practice is during this month of Elul. And now we've burned some incense. We've kind of taken ourselves there. Perhaps you've tied yourself into your breath. And we go again. We read these verses again. These are my very favorite verses, and I love to certainly read all of it, but I concentrate right here. One thing I have sought from Adonai, how I long for it, that I may live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, that I may look upon the sweetness of Adonai and spend time in the palace, that you might hide me in your sukkah on a chaotic day. Hide me in the hiding places of your tent. Raise me high upon a rock. Couple deep breaths afterwards. I hate to even run right to the next thing, but all of these practices help us in our ritual of reading Psalm 27, be more present. So my invitation for you this Shabbat, as you read Psalm 27, and if you don't happen to have Rabbi Robin's book, you can certainly get it. You can also Google Psalm 27 or find it in your Tanakh. My invitation to you is to add something to the ritual that brings you to a place of greater presence, whether that's finding a quiet area to sit or tuning into your own heartbeat first or your own breath, whatever helps you really settle in and take it in. And that's the practice I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you, Debbie.
Well, you're welcome, Mary.
That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me how you can connect this gorgeous
Murex shell.
Oof. And bring it all the way to something that we actually like a lot. So, and plus the, what are these? Are they named?
Well, these are the oils that are named in this Exodus verse. And of course I have frankincense here. Remember, it was stated all 4 equal parts. And this is onycha. You can totally get an onycha smells so weird. It's not a flower smell. And I am very much led to believe that this smell, that this odor, which also, by the way, often says that this odor pleased God, right? It wasn't just a sweet smell. It was very rich and complex.
Is onycha good for you?
Well, different oils have different properties, which is for another day, I think, because I know you have some really fun things to talk about. But so, by the way, in my incense dish, I put raw rice, and it just kind of helps them stick there.
It's dinner later.
Okay. All right, that's me. That was my offering prior to this Shabbat to get us a little bit moving forward in our transition of welcoming Shabbat. What do you got, Barry Rothschild?
Well, you wouldn't believe what this week's Torah portion is. Who would have thought? It is Shoftim.
Shoftim.
So let me just tell you, Debbie.
Okay.
Shoftim, this Torah portion, is basically You can almost find this in the United States Constitution. It's that important. It's about all these laws that the Israelites are given and told about and commanded to follow. So this portion begins with Moses commanding the Israelites to appoint judges and police officers to help govern this society to make it just and lawful. Now, these judges can't just be anybody. They have to be a person that's immune to taking bribes, because bribes will blind the eye. These judges are required to be without impartiality or being impartial. And the last thing, they have to be, without question, they have to have a concept of justfulness. And one of the things that's important about this is that right past them telling us about appointing these judges and these police officers, one of the most famous lines in all of Torah comes up. Tzedek, tzedek, terdof. Justice, justice shall you pursue. Now, it's a funny thing because in this it says justice, justice. So why in the world would there be two justices? Well, some people believe that it has a second justice because nothing is more important in a society than to pursue justice. And the other way thought could be that it's important to be just in your pursuit of justice. Now, the portion goes on and talks about certain things about priests and Levites and cities of refuge and some other things that are important about laws. But the thing that I like the most about this portion is that it covers the appointment of a king. So Moses tells the people, if you choose to appoint a king, what you get settled, because you want to, because everyone else is doing it, and all the societies around them, then this king has to follow certain rules. This king must. It's so important that this king this king has to know about not having too many horses. Not just having too many horses, but this king is not allowed to send people to Egypt to get more horses. They're not to have too many wives. They're not to acquire too much gold, and they're not to acquire too much silver. Basically, this king has to be from among the people and not be too wealthy. That's a big deal. So, one of the things I found that's interesting about this portion and I have to read this. The laws of Shoftim are a timely reminder that all who hold positions of power over life and livelihood must be held accountable for their actions. We do that today at the ballot box. As our Torah reminds us, living a holy life requires us to pursue justice. I recommend anyone that can Google Shoftim. It's a terrific portion, and I just covered it like a 2-minute thing, but it's a really big deal. So with that being said, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Now, can I ask you a question about what you're telling us? So you had mentioned that it says, justice, justice shall you pursue. So do you think it's a typo that it says justice, justice? Because the word is repeated. So I would have gotten the message if it simply had said, justice shall you pursue.
Well, Debbie, I don't know if you remember this, but we're taught that every word in the Torah is put there on purpose. And there's no mistakes. And so just as earlier in Genesis, where we hear the God calling out to Abraham, saying, Abraham, or Abraham, Abraham. He says it twice. And sometimes throughout the Torah, things are said twice. Moses, Moses. when he's at the fire, when he's at the what's it called, the burning bush. So there's no way it could be a mistake. It has to be there purposeful because this entire portion is about the governing and making laws to make certain that the society is shows that no one is above the law.
So emphasis.
Emphasis.
And then I know that this is in alignment with your tzedakah, or our tzedakah this week, because, we always make a checkout or, however we can do that, food, where it needs to go, canned goods, whatever it is. But I know this week we've written a check for the human rights.
Right.
Justice, justice.
Justice, justice, shall we pursue.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yasher Koach.
Oh, thank you so much. So, I don't know what's going on. Is there not a challah this week?
I've been in coursework all week, so I just got out, and it's going to have to rise really quick. But
what's going on in this one? Last week's was little.
Last week was, this is going to be humongous because, there you go. This one's going to be humongous because it basically just got started. Hi, Jeremy. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Stephanie Nagy. It's so wonderful. I've been thinking so much lately about the Shabbos show and how we really have this amazing way that I'm so grateful for to be able to connect with people that we love and care about and find community. JG, Jeremy. Hi, Pam. So,
hi, Jonathan.
Just so happy to connect with you all prior to Shabbat and find these moments where we begin to make this very sacred transition. It's really hard to run. And then if you are like us and part of your Shabbat encompasses a live stream, you turn on the TV and you get ready for it and you go, okay. Oh. And so being with you all and talking about a little bit of Judaism, ideas, ritual, embodiment, anything we can do to heighten our awareness and make all of these ritual experiences more enjoyable. What a wonderful thing to do with your friends and your family.
Debbie, if you continue to wear 4-inch pumps, I'm going to have to start wearing boots. either you're going to talk.
It's not really this way. It's really like this. I don't even want to go. That's what starts happening is I'm just like, oh, look, there's Pam, there's Mindy, there's Jonathan.
So I got to tell you what Jeremy says. Jeremy says that since it says justice, it must be a double negative, which means that there should be injustice. No, Jeremy, I don't think that's the case. But thank you for suggesting that.
So then Jonathan said, Jeremy.
It's pretty doggone funny.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Good rest, lots of joy. Thank you for bringing joy to us just by gathering. What a gift. Thank you so, so much. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Debbie. Next week, Rabbi Sunshine is with us in the backyard, so don't get too used to being here in our kitchen. We're in the backyard next week with Rabbi Sunshine. Woo!
So it's Rabbi Sunshine will be in the sunshine.
Yep.
It takes a village.
Bye, everyone.